because for like with your company, you are on Instagram, but you just don't use it, you're saying, as an advertising tool. You're just there.
Yes, so we use it to posts
just for exposure or something.
We also give exposure to stuff that we think is worth seeing. So that's what we usually use the stories tool for. Whenever we find something that we think makes the world a better place, we put it into stories so more people see it. I mean, obviously, we're not like influencers with 10 million followers or anything like that. But it's not necessarily always about the large numbers. I think that's also... if that's something you need to hear today while you're listening to this podcast, it's not always about the big numbers. Sometimes it's just about the depth of connection or the element of fit. How well do your followers really fit what you have to say? And if you have 10 million followers, 7 million of them only lukewarm about what you do, then that's not really great either. No. I think we currently have just a little bit less than 800 followers, and it's still, the conversations we have on Instagram, that's why we're there, because we want to have those conversations.
Well, and also making that impact as well, and being there, if people have questions or starting the discussion, the conversation, which you say is an ongoing journey for yourself as well. So because let's talk. Thank you so much for all this. I mean, we're learning. I'm learning. Everybody's learning. No, but I think like with me, I know my partner is, and Maria, a very close friend of mine in Portugal. She's a struggling artist. She does all my design work. I mean, I know so many of us, like self-employed entrepreneurs, talented, incredible people, now sitting at home thinking, where the hell am I gonna get my exposure? Like what can I do? I need to be seen, but no one is now seeing me. So that's something I definitely personally really struggle with. And it's actually, it makes me, sad and frustrated and angry all the time. I try to keep going. And that's why this conversation is really helpful also for me personally, but I definitely want to share this with people, like to, don't give up yet. Like there is other places we can go, because that's another thing. I think these assholes, Facebook and Instagram, they make you think they're the only ones,
Absolutely. And Google too.
Yeah. Yes. It's just like, because and I even think like that, like, but besides Facebook and Instagram, where do I go? You know what I mean? So to speak to you and think like, oh, actually, I'm going to check out this, Impact Hub. And, it's nice because, I feel lost and so in need for something to give me that boost again, or even just to make connections again. I'm really craving it. So, and I think many people are.
Yes, I agree. I've seen more people kind of do live events where anyone can join, where sometimes that, for example, there's something called the Lunch Club run by 4 change makers, which is really a tiny company run by, I think, 2 people, Fernando and Sina, in Hamburg. And it's an internationally minded community of people who all want to make change, which is why it's called 4 change makers. And they do this lunch club every other Wednesday around lunchtime, where it's like a Zoom webinar where anyone can join. You can ask questions and stuff. They've always got an expert in the hot seat. Like last week, it was about solar panels and that kind of green tech. And at some point last year, I was on their lunch club as well. And they ask really good questions, but also the audience can ask questions and they can get to know each other. And they record the whole thing and then release it as a podcast. So I think people are now thinking about how can we bring the community together on a non-committal basis, almost like you want. It's free of charge, but we also create some content off the back of that.
Exactly, which is good for them too. Yeah.
And also if you missed it, like if you haven't got time or something, you can always listen back to it. And that way you feel more like a part of a community, because you see the same names pop up in the chat as well, And
so nice.
You can say, hey, saw you last time. And it's nice.
And that's the lunch club. Well, I think this episode is the most notes I've ever had in the description, but there'll be plenty of notes, but definitely lunch club. I also personally definitely want to check this out. And so my other question is like, so do you feel, have you changed also personally because of from scratch? Like if you think about your life before, and you were also mentioning, like, I was, working for clients that, that were pretty horrible, and there were courses you didn't really live for or even are against, like, but what else has happened to you as a person?
That's a really great question, because I reflect on that a lot. And every year in spring, when it comes up to another anniversary for From Scratch, I'm like thinking about that. But also at the moment, Julia on the team has the lovely task of editing an ebook I wrote 4 years ago.
Nice.
And to bring it out again, to refresh it and take it to 2021 rather than 2017. And when I saw her comments, I could just see from her comments what has happened with me in 4 years since I wrote that, because there's so many things that I can see. I had a different perspective on the world. Maybe it helps to know that I also moved countries in the story of From Scratch. So I lived in the UK, close to London. I worked in London before I started From Scratch. And then in 2018, we moved to the Netherlands, upstate Amsterdam, Purmerend, as it's known to locals. And that's also changed me a lot. Moving away from the UK, and that was really difficult for me emotionally, because I had moved to the UK believing I was going to stay there forever. And then saying goodbye and coming back to my teenage dream of living in Holland, next to a lot of farmland and next to all of this water and stuff. That was a big step for me personally, moving to a country where I spoke the language imperfectly. I still would say, I'm okay conversationally, but I would never, well, I'm saying never now, but I'm definitely not at the point where I can write in Dutch, apart from maybe a Christmas card or something like that. And so that was a big step. I had to get used to that. And also the way you interact with people. I think this country has given me the confidence to be really clear in my communication with people compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a stereotype that British communication tends to be less direct. People tend to be a bit more polite, yeah. And if you have something important to say, you might invite people over for a cup of tea, and by the time you finish the tea, you then say, "Oh, you know what? There was this other thing." And then really comes out. Whereas here in the Netherlands, I mean, people are known for being really incredibly direct, but it really it allows for more clarity, for being upfront about certain important things from the get-go. And that's made my life much easier, and it's helped me grow because I need to think about my message in a different way. I can't come in through the back door. I have to be quite clear from the outset.
No, that's also really interesting what you're saying there, because you could have also really experienced it very negatively, like, oh my God, because it can be, for some people, it's really hard how Dutch people can be, or even,
I've had my share of culture shock. I think there were a couple of conversations where I felt, okay, that was a level of directness that I found brutal.
Yeah.
But the good news is always, when somebody says something directly to you, there's no second guessing. You don't have to worry, or I at least have decided that I don't have to worry about what might be there in an unspoken space where people harbor certain emotions that they don't want to voice. Usually I feel like if somebody said something shocking to me that was so direct that it would hurt a little, that at least now it's out in the open, and once we're prepared, we can be friends again, or things can be good again.
And From Scratch was always so is From Scratch then now 4 years old?
Yes.
Yes. And it was always sort of like a nomadic setup, in the sense that, you've never were all together in one space in an office somewhere, and no, you were always
it used to be me in the beginning, just by myself. But then I decided, and actually the whole agency thing is something that only started at the end of 2019, because on the one hand, I felt that working by myself wasn't as fun as I would like it to be. And on the other hand, the level of project changed. And I felt that if I tried to do it all by myself, I would either burn out, or it would become very difficult to make any promises or commitments to our clients, because there's a certain level of project size that's just, if you tackle it by yourself, the quality is going to be less and the time it takes to deliver is going to be longer. And so I thought it's going to be better for me, how I feel, and also for our clients in terms of what we deliver, if I add more people to this.
Yeah.
Rika, as a project coordinator, has been part of SURF for much longer. Actually, I started working with a project coordinator, I think beginning of 2019. So that's like 2 years or so.
Yeah.
That's really helped me with admin, helped me with emotionally detaching from some of my work. That's been very important, and it's been a big step. Like adding somebody new, that's been, I would say that was one of the biggest learning curves for me.
Yeah.
It's a level of letting go, and for people to see under the hood of what you're doing. It's like it feels a little bit awkward in the beginning. At least that's what it was for me. But
because you were always running it by yourself, it's kind of strange to then go, oh, you're here now.
Yes, but it's great, the feeling of there's somebody else rooting for me, and somebody else is on my team.
Exactly what you're saying as well, someone else rooting for you, because I think we don't get that enough.
Yes, especially as solopreneurs, you're always on your own, or maybe you've got a partner, but it's not really the meaning of your partnership or your marriage or whatever for that person to be your business coach.
Yeah, no.
And so yes, adding Rika made a big difference. Before her, I worked with somebody called Jennifer in Germany, but she decided to go down a different route, and she was also brilliant. But it really helped me also to see what my strengths are in terms of organization and systematizing and process orientation and so on, because actually it was relatively easy for them to come on board because I'd already set things up in a certain way. Yeah. But then when they joined, it just took off. Like, we now have project management tools and everything has a process, not to limit us, but to
extend yourself, I guess.
Yes, to allow us not to worry about the nitty gritty of how things work, but actually focus on the creative work.
And this is how we do it. And this is how this is the way we do it. Yeah, that makes sense. And is it a coincidence that you are a full women-run business, or because I'm liking the sound of it very much?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to be honest with you. I'm really torn. On the one hand, I think we're not diverse enough at the moment. We're all European women in a certain age group. We're all white. Yeah. But on the other hand, I don't want to extend the team to include a token person. Yeah. I would never want to say, hey, why don't you join us because you're a man, or because you're black or brown or of indigenous descent? It's difficult. But on the other hand, I know that, and I'm not talking about men now, I'm just talking about non-white people or people from different social backgrounds also. There have been so many obstacles in their path to working in our industry. There's no coincidence that the creative industries generally tend to be white, middle class, relatively, highly educated people.
100%. Yeah.
And so we're currently as a team thinking about what we can do to raise awareness for that, and also to do a little bit in order to make it easier for people who haven't had the privilege to join us if they're interested.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not about tokenism. That's the important thing. And why are we all females? I think it's because of how networks work. Bro culture has given men a network to step up on for decades, if not centuries or millennia. Yeah. And we all found each other in certain more women-driven networks where we hang out. And that also makes me self-critical, because it means that we're maybe not looking broadly enough for where our next big talent could come from. So by no means necessarily all female, but definitely feminist in an intersectional way. But any man who would join us would need to be prepared to live up to
and also, there's plenty of amazing feminists out there who are male. So
yes,
I mean,
I'm married to one. So.
I just want to say we're both married to one. I'm not officially married, but it feels like I am. And yeah, definitely my partner is as feminist as yours, because I've met him and he's amazing and lovely and incredible. It was so nice.
You.
I still, in the sunny days of Amsterdam, having our vegan pizza together, I still, I still think of it, still cherish it, because of the times we live in now, with a very barky sparky, but it was amazing. Yeah, no, I think it's beautiful.